So let's enjoy this while it lasts. The final matchup, evoN versus Scrapie for survival in the Trackmania Grand League. One will go into the next season together with Binks and also Worker and Riulu. And one here will be out and has to try to qualify through the Open League if they want to go back onto the top stage. The warm-up has ended. We're going live on reversing the final best of 5 of the night. Here we go.
We're getting started right now on reversing by Thompson. Whole shot for this opening round on lap 1 will be to Scrapie with a 6.865. Moving on to checkpoint number 2, both getting a bit of airtime. evoN going really close to the CP, keeping it off the wall though. And so far it is Scrapie having the early advantage of around a 10th of a second.
Yeah, so both players here have very strong personal bests. They're among the top 5, top 6 players, I think. evoN also with a low 205 personal best, so they have the pace on paper. It's just about who can execute best. And what we saw in the final chance match is that evoN was losing time consistently. He was beaten out in time consistently. But then in the ending, he was able to nail that backwards driving part very consistently every time. And I think that's what he's hoping for here too. If there is a mistake from Scrapie, evoN will not fail that ending, I think. So right now he's staying within range. Just needs to try to hold on here and not lose too much to Scrapie, so that Scrapie also has to go for the backwards line. But here we turn around the ice in the first lap. It won't happen yet, and evoN had it very nicely there. Beautiful execution to even put him into first. And 105.07. We are going decently fast here into the second lap, and it is a tied race in the first round.
Tied race after lap number 1, although Scrapie on the banking managed to get a bit better line through here and keep a bit more speed compared to evoN right now, and the gap is around 2/10 between Belgium and Poland. But unfortunately Scrapie touches the sign, and it will be a win by KO scenario for evoN, who takes the first round on the board right here on reversing 1-0.
And we've seen these mistakes be so costly. In these bank turns, if you just go a little too low and you clip your wheel off the edge, you're going to lose speed, and you're also going to have to drive up a hill, or sometimes even trying to not slide off the wall there. It's just game over if you go too low in those turns. So Scrapie there, making the first mistake, but the overall pace was something solid, and I think he'll try it again to try to drive that pace. It should be good enough to have a fighting chance in the rounds. It doesn't really need to change anything, except maybe try to go a little bit higher here for comfort and safety. So now he's got it covered. No mistakes this time. And we have a race on our hands into the first lap here. evoN a little bit behind, but these lines are not the most decisive ones. It is the backwards part that really does decide reversing, believe it or not. Through the final technical turn now onto the grass. And the jump up. We see evoN usually take a bit more of a line on the right here. So jumping more up and down. But Scrapie with that curved line could have more speed. He dropped a gear though into the backwards part, and that's going to cost a lot of speed. He will not gain it back until the turnaround. And he's going to bleed time until just about a second lead for evoN here. So evoN with a 1 second lead right now, as predicted. Can he hold on to this in the second lap and claim a 2-0 lead in the match?
This could be very well for evoN right now to get 2 round wins on the board for himself. So far, Scrapie not being able to catch up so far. There's not really many places that you can gain significant time with alternative lines or something like this. In this instance, 9/10 of a second still seems to be the stable gap that has settled in as we're moving on to the final part of the map and the final part of lap number 2. We're seeing evoN with the lead of 8/10, but he touches the wall, he gets a huge slowdown, and that's going to allow Scrapie to move through into the lead, and evoN will not be able to clear that entity. I don't think so. Or barely, no, he does not manage to do so, and it will be a round win by KO for Scrapie. As a result of that mistake from evoN, it's an even score, 1-1.
Yeah, so unfortunate for evoN there. In that last technical part, he almost had the round covered, but in the last technical turn, he got a break instead of a slide, and that's a huge difference. He tried to save it, but he just didn't have the speed for the jump. So the valiant effort, but he did lose that one, and we're going into 1-1 scoreline. So Scrapie getting that one saved after losing a lot of ground early with the backwards gear. But now it's a tied race. So we're once again going back into it. No player really daring to go so close to the walls again, I think. But evoN, oh, he's going to go for an alternative save here. But no, this is too much speed lost. It's 1.5. It's going to stay 1.5. And it's a quick KO here from Scrapie into the third round. 2-1 now.
A bit of a premature round end right here with that clip from evoN right here, trying to go a bit too close to the edge when it comes to the transition, and unfortunately he was on the wrong side of the fence. In terms of benefits, that was not even any benefit at all for this particular strat from evoN, and that's a 2-1 scoreline for Scrapie, who holds the lead not by much into the start of the next round.
Yeah, it's just a small lead, but this is Scrapie's map choice, and I don't think he really needs to win this one, but if he does, the paths that evoN on paper has to victory are ever fewer. This is a map that evoN, I think, has to win to really have good chances of making it through this match. But we know in Trackmania anything can happen if the players make mistakes, or if they're just going a bit too close to the walls, getting a bit too risky with it, then things can happen here. They're going extremely close, and it's a miracle neither of them have crashed as we're going into the jump now. Both players just barely making it. Scrapie with a very inside approach, but does not have the space here or the speed. So evoN overtakes and Scrapie hits the pole. evoN sliding away into the distance there, into the sunset, into the multi-lap with what is now a, well, over 1.5 second lead, and that's going to be the 2-2 scoreline.
2-2 scoreline, another win by KO right here. This time evoN being on the receiving end of this win by KO, on the beneficiary end of this win by KO, instead of being on the wrong side in the previous round. But yeah, 2-2 scoreline. It could still very much end into the 7th and final round of this map right here, as we're moving on to round number 5 already.
And every round here has been won or lost by mistakes, so this just goes to show how important it is to not crash. Like, if neither player here, if one player had made no mistakes so far, they'd already have won the map 4-0, as the mistakes have just been raining down from both players. But it is so hard to drive this map, and they're really trying to win on pace versus each other, but maybe a more conservative approach and trying to just save it a little bit more could be the way to go, because right now they're both just pushing their limits beyond what they're able to drive here. Fast round though from both players. Scrapie going very close to the wall on the outside, does make it without crashing. Now we're going towards the identity. It is still Scrapie in the lead. evoN having to take a wider line and losing a little bit of time here. But then we'll see the different approaches for the jump. Who can carry the best speed here? Is it going to be Scrapie? No, evoN with a very good slide there. Look at the speed. Can he carry it all the way across the ice and into the turnaround? This could be a big lead that could accrue here for evoN. If he keeps the grip, he does. Scrapie losing out a little bit, but has more speed through the multi-lap with that approach. And they're super close here. A 104.9 by evoN, and I think we finally could have a 2-lap race on our hands. They are dead even right now.
Yeah, it seems as though the race is definitely on after this opening lap, which seemed to be really close. A bit of speed loss from evoN right here allows Scrapie to move into the lead by around 0.5 of a second. But look at this, it's still very much nip and tuck between the two as we're moving on to the second half of the map right now. evoN going really close towards the poles on the inside, taking a more direct line through the corner, although it did not really pay off all that much on the subsequent parts. So far, still Scrapie in the lead by around 0.05 of a second. Moving on to the identity for the final lap of this round. Both of these could get the round win to move on to 3-2 in the scoreline. But who will it be? evoN or Scrapie onto the identity now? So far, Scrapie with an more inside approach, but evoN with better speed again. He seems to be a master of this particular approach to the identity. Now moving on to the backward strat. evoN be able to make it through? Yes, he will. Although he did not keep all the grip on the tarmac there, he was still able to judge the line so that he was able to cross the start-finish line. And a 100.4, if I'm not mistaken, will give the round win for evoN in the final situation. 100.596, the fastest lap.
Yeah, evoN there showing his consistency at the end. If he can get there, he does not fail that backwards part. In the final chance, he was sniping rounds here left, right, and center. And Scrapie here, oh my god, that was a risky jump. Could have just lost the match right there. He cannot afford any more mistakes, or evoN's simply going to take this one and move up to 1-0 before going on to Slalom, where he could make it a 2-0. Good map choice for him. So right now, Scrapie really has to try to win this one, or else he could be quickly facing match point for evoN before he knows it in the overall standings. So cannot afford to lose another one here, I think. Trying his best to keep up, but it is evoN in the lead through the technical part. Gets good space there, evoN, to make that turn and maintain the lead over Scrapie. into the backwards part. We've seen evoN time and time again get more speed with his approach. And with Scrapie clipping the block there, that's certainly going to be the case now. evoN going down the hill will extend this, but can he get the turnaround to carry that speed into the second lap? Very inside, keeps the grip. This should be a huge lead for evoN here, who's looking for that map win here on the first one, but he does falter in the first turn of the second lap, allowing Scrapie to catch up, but no. Scrapie hitting the checkpoint. This is going to be an early GG here. evoN will take reversing.
Full stopping into the CP again. Another virtual driver fatality to be reporting here on the stadium of Trackmania, and that's going to be a 4-2 scoreline at the end of this first map and 1-0 in this opening of the series on reversing. This was Scrapie's map pick, and for the Belgian it can be no good, can lead up to no good, as we're moving on to map number 2, which was evoN's first map pick, and it's going to be Slalom by Nadeo.
Yeah, and Scrapie has a bit of history with this map. He's never really liked it in the regular season. In the knockouts, he said it is one of his worst tracks, especially figuring out the oh-so important ice slide in the ending. He has been able to drive well here, but I think it's not his map. He does not really like this. evoN, though, who is one of the only keyboard players in the field, has a very good liking to this map, as the last part there on the ice is actually a little bit faster on keyboard, so it's something that he can take to his advantage. But we still have to get there. We still have a race to drive before we get to the ending, and anything can happen in that part. In the start here, the players just got full speed. We're not going to see too big gaps. We're just going to be waiting for the very important turns to come in, especially looking at the dirt part and the reactor part. Here, though, Scrapie with the early lead, getting about a car length ahead. evoN equalizing into the dirt. So here we go with the first slalom part. They're going to dance between the gates, left, right, and upside down is not part of the recipe. evoN will lose out this first round, I think, on his own map choice, as Scrapie here is just going to be able to get the knockout with a 1, 2, and a 3. 1-0 for Scrapie.
Unfortunate scenes from evoN right here on the first slalom, going a bit too tight on the way in potentially, and not really managing to get the turning fast enough to make it through to the third flag, and completely ramped up and went upside down, which yielded the point to Scrapie at the end of this round. The premature end of this round, as we haven't seen a full lap being completed yet.
Yeah, and it is the story of this match so far. A lot of uncanny mistakes. I think both players are feeling the pressure, and they should be, because they are facing demotion from Grand League, relegation, and losing their spot in the league, which they both, I think, want to prove that they belong in, that they have a say in. But one of them is guaranteed to go out, and they don't want to be that guy, but they have to deliver under pressure. This is what it's all about, performing when it matters most. So now going up the reactor part here, they're both doing it really good. Scrapie almost sliding out, but keeps it under lock and key, going very close on the bottom there. Will not have a lot of speed here, so the gears could be important. We're going up the ice. Let's see if they can both get the slide. Looks good for both. evoN, though, with a very inside approach, has to adapt his line to make it through. Could be at risk of hitting the flag. He's trying to save it, but there's no way. He goes right into the flag, and Scrapie could win a second knockout round here, as evoN is on the ropes. To use a reference here, Scrapie should be able to hold this. There's no way that's going to be a 2-0 scoreline.
Yeah, no way that he could be, there's no way that it isn't a 2-0 scoreline. He can't catch up evoN due to that small hits of the flag right here on the right-hand side of the jump. Unfortunately for him, that will yield him to a 2-point, that would lead him, sorry, to a 2-point deficit over Scrapie. Scrapie could be on course to win evoN's map pick, which could still be something decent in terms of the psychological impact for either player. Well, for Scrapie in particular, winning your opponent's map pick could still be a good sign of things to come.
And I think Scrapie is very surprised to see himself at a 2-0 on Slalom. It's like the map he's not supposed to win in this match. But if he does, it is looking good for Scrapie. Does need to keep it up here, though. He still has to win 2 more rounds. He still has to hope that evoN will make a mistake, or he's going to have to win out on raw pace like he's doing right now. Is driving really well, Scrapie, so maybe even forcing the mistakes from evoN, who has to risk to catch up this lead. Cannot just make it through evoN. He has to beat out Scrapie. And right now, he is 0.22 of a second away from doing that. As we're going into the ice hill up the identity, this is where the last round was decided. It's where most rounds are decided. As Scrapie slides out on the ice hill. And now it is evoN reaping the benefits of the opponent's mistake. And it's another round without 2 laps being driven here.
Well, at least we had 1 lap completed in the previous round and this round, but yeah, another round, ended by a win by KO situation. This time, evoN being the beneficiary, moving on to a single point on the board so far, but this could be just what he needed to get himself back on track.
Yeah, but I mean, if it is a bit of a fiesta, it is certainly an exciting fiesta, as we never really know what can happen at any point here. Both players are trying their best, but it's a higher pressure situation and the mistakes are coming out. This is where you have to try to compose though. You have to try to get back into that zone, that flow zone, that muscle memory, and just let it carry you through the track. These players have practiced so much leading up to this match, and also throughout the season on these tracks, they know them inside and out, and now they just have to do it for the final time of the season to try to survive and be in it for 1 more spin. evoN there, great line on the ground to overtake Scrapie. Scrapie with a lower line with less speed will remain in 2nd place as we're now going onto the ice again. evoN with a lot of speed. Can he save that? I don't know where he went, but it wasn't into the next checkpoint. And Scrapie will get a knockout win here. We're not going to get to see 2 laps of this, I think. It's about who survives the ice.
Yeah, it's about who survives the U-turn and who does not slide off them, either slide off the hill or hits one of the flags on the exit of the jump. And Scrapie, it's a finalist situation right here. Just 1 more round to even the fight and bring the scoreline to 1-1 in this head-to-head.
Yeah, but you can already see it there. evoN just going up the hill with a lot of speed, and I don't know if it's possible to get a turn with that much speed, but I haven't seen anyone do it before. So really, I think he misjudged a little bit, but it does give Scrapie 2 undisturbed map points here. So he has 2 rounds now where he can, if he wins, close out this map, put us to a 1-1 scoreline, or evoN has to win 3 in a row to secure this one for himself on his own map choice, which is Slalom. So if Scrapie could win Slalom, that is huge for Scrapie. As we said, it's not one of his favorite tracks, but right now, he's on the victory march, 0.4 ahead already in the start of this lap. And evoN needs to find something good on the identity now. Let's see if he can do it. How much speed does he dare to go up the hill with to try to keep the grip? He's going closer. It's very fast. And evoN will slide out again, going a little too fast, I think. And Scrapie's 1.28 seconds ahead. It's not enough for a knockout, but it is enough to try to reel this one in, to try to just safe it, and to try to close out Slalom.
A 105.473, the opening lap from Scrapie on this particular round right here. evoN tries to reel him in. He managed to get around 800s at the exit of the jump heading into lap 2, but right now it's going to take a miracle for evoN to actually be with any fighting chance of actually moving on to elite fights. Right now Scrapie has got this under control. Thanks to the mistake of evoN, he's got a bit of room to breathe before bringing this one over the line, but he needs to keep it clinical. He needs to keep this one on the road and not do anything silly at this moment. 1.25 the gap over evoN for Scrapie. It could still be a win by KO if a mistake from the Polish player happens, but unfortunately for evoN, it might be the end of it as Scrapie goes through the ice. evoN losing grip again at the entry to the U-turn, and it will be both the conventional win and the win by KO for Scrapie, who wins on Slalom and brings the scoreline to 1-1.
So we finally got to see 2 laps at the very end there. So it was a bit of a spectacle Slalom, but now we're going on to a little bit more consistent territory. That being the 3rd map pick here, which was Bicycle by Scrapie.
As apparently my game just crashed right in the eyes of 4,000 people. I'm really sorry about this. I don't think it was the intentional. Yeah, indeed my game crashed. Just for a second. We
are going on to Trackmania Grand League Radio here then in the meantime. So I'll try to talk you guys through the round before Geek is able to rejoin the server. So currently we are just in the warm-up. The match is about to begin. It's the 3rd map, Bicycle. It's picked by Scrapie. And we are getting underway here now in the 1st round. So both players just getting off to an easy start. The start on Bicycle is pretty slow. You just drive some turns and really get into it. Then you go into some drifts. So right now they're jumping onto the grass. It is Scrapie, about a car length ahead, has gained 400s in the start. evoN, though, fighting back here and putting himself a little bit ahead of Scrapie again, as they're now jumping in between the trees. Try to visualize it in your brain, as Scrapie has overtaken evoN, putting himself 0.10 ahead. evoN is a little bit behind. He's trying to catch up, puts himself side by side with Scrapie now, as they're going into the dirt turns near the end of the track. So this is all about carrying speed for that big jump past the trees, where we've seen a lot of bonks in the past. Let's see as the players jump now. They both got it good. evoN is ahead at the tail end of the first lap. He's 0.14 ahead of Scrapie, as we're now going on for the grass. And the identity on Bicycle is the ice turnarounds. The players are going to go onto the ice, turn their car around, and push it back with speed. evoN is extending his lead to Scrapie right now, going 0.23 ahead as we're going into the second lap. And how are we looking on the broadcast, Geek? Are we back?
And the live feed has come back. Really sorry for this little interruption, ladies and gentlemen, as evoN has lost a lot of speed into the freewheel part of the turns 1 and 2 before checkpoint 1. Scrapie moves it back into the lead with a gap of 0.3 of a second before checkpoint number 3 comes up right here now onto the banking into the dirt, with the jump in between the trees coming up right now. So far, we haven't seen anyone hitting the tree on the way into the jump, so it seems as though everybody managed to learn the line pretty much to the T right here, as we're moving on to the second dirt part right here. From the perspective of evoN, currently chasing Scrapie half a second down on the Belgian from Team Lazarus, as we're exiting this this dirt with the ice patch right here. evoN keeping the grip on here. We saw Soldier having a bit of a hairy time keeping the grip and hitting the wall on the outside, as we're jumping through 0.4 of an advantage for Scrapie versus evoN. The identity coming up, and it seems as though Scrapie has got a pretty good buffer to play with here, heading into the U-turns, both going for very different approaches. Once evoN going to for a right-hand U-turn versus a left-hand U-turn for Scrapie on the entry, and Scrapie should be able to get this round win on his hands and get the win with a 219.666 with a 107.702, the early benchmark for the Belgian.
Yeah, Scrapie there delivering the first round, and we finally had a no-crash round, believe it or not, the one that we missed. But great driving by both players there, showing that they can drive consistently here. And if they can keep doing this, this is going to be a very close race. It was only 0.2 of a second between the two, and they still have about 1 more second to push towards the world record on this track, which is a 218.5, I believe, held by Scrapie himself. So this is why he chose this map. It is one of his best on paper. But can he deliver now? 3 more rounds is what he needs to win Bicycle. And evoN is giving him a run for his money right now. 0.03 ahead as they're going into the dirt part. This is one of the most important parts because it sets you up so far down the road. You want to build speed here. Try to be early on the left turn. And then just gently go out towards the right. Push in here and try not to lose the grip. We've seen that happen, as Geek mentioned. Now the jump. And you see the speed here from Scrapie. It's going to snowball all the way until that next turn, which lets him overtake the first place for now, but it is so close. Side by side across the grass, who can build the best speed towards the ice. Turn around, it's going to be evoN, who fights back and takes back first, almost a 1/10 of a second, and shoots back towards the checkpoint with even more speed. Might extend this. 0.18 now. evoN looking really good in this first lap, but let's not say something yet, because this first drift is where a lot is decided. How much do you push here? Scrapie getting a little bit closer to make this a dead even race, just about.
Just about a dead even race so far. Look at the entry into the second checkpoint from Scrapie, managing to catch up to evoN. Look at this, it's almost a dead heat, and evoN clips the inside, and that will be a win by KO situation for Scrapie, who will move on to 2-0, because as you saw, evoN clipped the left-hand side wheels of his car on the bottom of the dirt, and that completely wrecked his momentum, and that will be it for this round. 2-0 for Scrapie.
Yeah, but a really good opening lap there by evoN. Like, this is one of Scrapie's best maps in the map pack, and if he's able to keep up and even beat out Scrapie by 0.2 in the first lap, he's showing that he can win here. But the consistency really has been evoN's downfall so far. He's driving fast up until he isn't, where he hits a wall or he falls off like that. So just needs to work on the consistency here and needs to do it fast. He does not have a lot of time. Scrapie 2 points up, only 2 rounds away from closing out Bicycle. And before evoN knows it, Scrapie could be 1 map away from claiming the Grand League spot here. evoN would be out in that case, but now he is still going up into first into round number 3 here. Into the dirt we go. As I said, this is so important. Every line here, from here on out, sort of is forced by what you have to work with. The space you have, the line you have. Scrapie would maybe get a little bit more speed here once again. But he does jump very far to the left, almost clipping the checkpoint. Managing to stay on the good side of it though. Only 0.11 behind evoN here. We saw evoN getting this turn really good last time. He is going to get it once again. Getting a small speed boost there to go onto the ice with the lead. And with more speed through the checkpoint here, Scrapie's going to be able to catch up a little bit. But now we're going to watch out for that first turn in the second lap. Can they get the drift to the left and then just full speed it to the right is the best approach. Scrapie tries it, but he fails it and gives evoN a free round here to go up into a 2-1 with a knockout win.
That was an 11.504 the opening lap from evoN, which was good all things considered, and that small mistake from Scrapie is really doing the Polish player from Team Secret favors as he moves on to a 2-1 scoreline, trying to bridge the gap a little bit to Scrapie.
Yeah, but that turn, I mean, it is so difficult because you have the freewheeling block or the engine off block that you can see there, and your engine is shut off, and when your engine is shut off, the drifting is different as well. So they're really trying to make that drift happen, but it is quite tricky to get it right, and if you can get it right, you gain a lot of time. So it is an advantage that both players try to just push for, but there it is Scrapie who falls victim to it and does drop around to evoN here. Still only 2 rounds away. evoN, I think, feeling a little bit better now. When you're down 2 rounds, it is quite tough. But now takes the lead once again in this round. And evoN is looking good here to try to maybe battle Scrapie on bicycle. Not something that I personally expected to see, but he's doing a great job of it so far. Scrapie might lose grip. Oh, he barely holds the wheels there. We're about to fly off. But he has some super glue that gets him covered. And he stays alive in the race. We should see evoN once again getting this line a little bit better, a little bit more speed. Is the tail here that we've seen. 0.000 on the checkpoint. And Scrapie failing the first turn run a little bit, not getting it quite like he wanted. Dropping a little bit of time. But let's follow the drift now. This drift, usually the side surrounds quite significantly. And evoN is the failure this time. It is evoN falling victim to it. It is one of the most technical parts on the track. And with all the pressure, that is a mistake you can make. 2.2 seconds behind now. Scrapie looking for the knockout. Just needs the tree jump and pick up the checkpoint right around the turn here. Should be enough for him to do it. And he's on map point right now.
Map point for Scrapie on his map pick. After winning his opponent's map pick a little bit earlier on, he could win his own map pick and move on to a 2-1 scoreline in this head-to-head match for TMGL Survival as we're moving away, underway right here with round number 5.
Yeah, Scrapie just won away to win bicycle to put evoN under a lot of pressure if he wasn't under enough pressure already. With the time Scrapie's able to put up here with the world record on the leaderboard, this is a tough opponent to face on bicycle. Trying his best here though, evoN, and he usually gets a lot of time in the start. He gets this drift usually really well, better than Scrapie. Now he finds himself a little bit behind. Very risky jump there by evoN. Could have gone wrong, but he makes it good. And Scrapie has to adapt his line there to stay alive. Nets evoN a small advantage here, but we've seen Scrapie get more speed here time and time again, and it shows once more. The jump is good by both players, but Scrapie will get this first place. And now let's see if we can have a deja vu where evoN will overtake in this grass turn with a little bit more speed towards the identity. Will get it, but not quite the overtake yet. Ice turnarounds just about even. Scrapie almost on the edge, going very, very close there. Second turnaround. Let's see if the drift will decide this one. evoN in the lead. Can he get the drift? Can Scrapie get the drift? They both get it this time. Scrapie, though, with less speed, falling about a 10th behind into the second lap.
The race is on now between evoN and Scrapie, both managing to go through turns 1 and 2 this time around through the freewheel section. And now we're moving on to a real race right now. You can see they're within each other's ghosts right now, evoN and Scrapie. So far, Scrapie having a bit of an advantage, but not by long. And actually, evoN clipping the CP, clipping one of the CP pillars actually at the exit of the side turn, and he clips the barrier on the entry. Unfortunately, that will be potentially sealing the fate of the round. Not quite win by KO just yet. You can see he's right within the range, right within the butter zone, evoN, but he's losing time, checkpoint after checkpoint, so it could be an early GG to be called in. with Scrapie currently leading this away. Although evoN still keeps himself within 1.4 seconds, still keeping that round in, but it will be potentially a round win. Conventional round win, sorry, for Scrapie here by finishing first at the end of those both laps. He just needs one more ice U-turn to go to cross the start-finish line as the winner of Bicycle, and he makes it 2-1 for himself in this head-to-head with a 2:19.441 at the end of this round.
Controlled win there by Scrapie, saw the splits, knew he had it, and gets the job done. 2-1 overall scoreline now in favor of Scrapie, but we are going on to evoN's map choice. It is going to be Frozen Fridges, if I'm not mistaken.
Wrong way around. It is Arctic Split. Frozen Fridges is the decider map.
Arctic Split, so quite surprised to see that evoN went for Arctic Split here, but I think one thing he's hoping for is Scrapie dropping the gear. The last time these two players faced off on this track, Scrapie was very unfortunate with this very first ice turn that you can see here, where in this ice turn, you need to keep your gear. Already in the first turn of the map, you could lose half a second just about if you do not keep the gear of the car. So this is something to watch out for, and Scrapie has been struggling with it. The rest of the driving from Scrapie has been very good on this track, but I think that's what evoN is hoping for here, because he is very consistent at it. Only one way to find out. Here we go, onto Arctic Split, the fourth map. Let's see the ice turn now. Who can keep the gear? Looks good for both players. So evoN not getting anything for free here in the start. And they are within a car length as we're now going on to the high-speed part here. Going up into the wall towards the dirt. It is Scrapie in the lead. evoN, though, gaining maybe a little bit there, at least in terms of speed as they're going into the drift. Both players getting it good. Will they fancy the risky jump? There is a strat in this next part, this next jump that you're going to see, where the players, evoN with a small mistake. Will they go for it? No, Scrapie not fancying it. So in practice, Scrapie was trying a jump there. That saves about 0.05 of a second, but he did not fancy going for it right now. So the lead is in the favor of Scrapie. We have the identity, the main obstacle part, to go still, and it is coming up right now. The identity here, 3 jumps between the pillars. Try to align your car onto the booster to send you through that gap. It is a very small margin, and evoN is about to make the first mistake. That is going to cost him a lot of time. Scrapie could be in knockout range here. If he gets this one and the multi-lap, he only needs a good ice turn to make that a knockout, and it will be the case. Will Scrapie get the knockout win here in the first round because of that mistake? It looks good. Is it enough? Oh, we're going to see the split. It is enough, and Scrapie gets the first round 1-0.
evoN gets knocked out for 0.02 of a second here on Arctic Split's opening round. A shame for the miscalculation in trajectory from the Polish driver from Team Secret into the second jump. And here it seems that we might have seen Scrapie forced to release, or maybe losing the gear on the exit of the ice turn, and he lost already 0.3 right away.
Yeah, that is the gear loss, and that is what evoN was hoping for. Like, look at this. He has a 0.4 advantage gifted to him into the round. But now Scrapie is fast on this track. He did lose a lot of time, but he is quickly going to try to catch this back up because it is one of his better tracks apart from that first turn. It's a very interesting dynamic here. So evoN, he has been gifted the lead, but look at this now. Scrapie was 0.4 behind, and you can see him just getting closer and closer here with every turn, driving each part a little bit better than evoN. And coming up to the identity, he is right on his tail here, but it is the jumps that will decide this one. 3 jumps, you have to align this perfectly. First one is good for both. Scrapie getting the turn a little bit better, and he's right on his spoiler right now. Second one, dead even. Can he overtake with the third one, or will evoN hold a lead? That looks awkward for evoN, who does crash and loses time. 1.2 seconds is going to be in range with the multi-lap. So can Scrapie now get this good? It looks decent enough. With one more checkpoint after this one, over 1.5 second lead, he will get the knockout win, and that's going to be it. Scrapie 2-0 here on Arctic Split.
Could this be an early demotion for evoN on this map? We have I can't really tell, but unfortunately it seems to be heading that way after those 2 consecutive mistakes in the identity at 2 different points of the identity, mind you, but still in the exact same part of the track overall. So yeah, evoN now needs to get this together. He needs to actually get his act together and try to get rounds on the board right here, but against Scrapie it's going to be a bit difficult.
Yeah, Scrapie kept the gear now. Scrapie's already in the lead here, so this is going to be difficult for evoN. from last lap, he lost half a second from this point and onwards. And now it is Scrapie already with the lead. So he needs to find something with his pace here to try to keep up with that. Because Scrapie's not planning to slow down here anytime soon. Does extend the lead. It's 0.28 and it's about to be more, I think. Scrapie looking very good, but he too could fail the identity. It's just one mistake on the jumps, and you do fall into that knockout zone, that 1.5 second difference between you and your opponent. So you cannot afford to fail these jumps, and Scrapie's going first into it. evoN 0.3 behind. First jump, here we go. Scrapie going very close to the inside, but he makes it. He dares to push it. He stays ahead. Second one. Good alignment for Scrapie. evoN clipping though, and it is the same tail once again. Scrapie here with this advantage no, he's not going to go up. Scrapie going upside down instead, and evoN having a chance at the knockout here. It's a full fiesta, but if evoN gets this turn, that'll be his first knockout win, putting him on the board and bringing us to a 2-1 scoreline.
Well, it seems like the circus has just landed for this round for a representation, because these are absolute scenes that we've seen right here on this round, with first evoN at the second jump, and then Scrapie with a full rollover at the third jump, completely throwing the round away when he was under control. But now it's a 2-1 scoreline into this map in favor of Scrapie.
Yeah, evoN though, that is such an important round. If Scrapie won that one, he would have been at match point right now, but evoN still has room for one more mistake on this map. Cannot afford anything more than that, or else Scrapie will remain in the Grand League and evoN will be demoted. So this is all or nothing right now. He has to lead in the start once again, but we know Scrapie to do this turn very well. Could overtake evoN here. Might even have the lead after this. Yeah, he gets more speed from that part, so now it's going to extend all the way until they reach that next turn, and Scrapie will be about a car length ahead here towards the identity. Down the downhill. Very important to stay as much as you can on the road here, and that's good speed from evoN to actually try to catch up a little bit. But, well, in the grand scheme of things, I think it doesn't matter too much. I think it is the jumps that will decide this. Scrapie releasing and even crashing. And it is 0.69 now in favor of evoN. Onto the second jump. Adapted line by both players. evoN still remains ahead. Third one, and they both get it. So we do have a race on our hands. It is evoN being 0.40 ahead, though. And into the ice slide we go. Who gets the best speed out of this? Scrapie looking to land sideways, which will be really bad speed. And evoN could snowball off of this. Low-key's extending the lead very far right now. Maybe even 0.4 into the checkpoint. 0.28, actually. Not as much as I had hoped for or predicted to see. So evoN still being in the lead. 0.25. Who's going to take the second lap?
This could be a close call at the end of the day, but so far Scrapie is having a bit of work on his hands with trying to catch up to evoN right now. Who's trying to keep that gap floating around the 3/10 range, trying to give himself a buffer to work with. But we've seen how it can go in the identity. We can see either one player failing at one of the jumps, or both players finishing at one of the jumps, or at the same jump. I mean, anything can happen in this particular instance. Here we go. Final crossing of the identity for the final lap right here on this round. Both managing to go through the first jump. Second jump coming in. evoN and Scrapie both managing to go through. Scrapie could try to catch him up. He could try to go for the snipe. evoN's going to try to push him out. Oh, it's going to be to the line. And it will be evoN taking the win with the 300th buffer over Scrapie. Scrapie taking the fastest lap. It will be meager consolation, and we're back to an even score. 2-2.
And finally we get to see what these players are capable of. These are some of the best players on pace in the entire Grand League. It's been a fiesta so far, but when they shine bright. And into the fifth round right now, 2-2 scoreline. Both players have gotten a good start. Both players have gotten the gear. Now it's about who can push, because whoever wins this round will go up to map point. Scrapie though, if it is him, match point. So evoN not out of the dirt yet. He went down 2-0 here on this map, but found the round he needed now to equalize. Needs one more to go up to map point. So can he do it? Scrapie looking to extend the lead here. Just drives that part a little bit better. The line is more refined. It gives him more speed, and it gives him a good lead to work with. Into this next drift. 0.2. Down the hill we go. Into the wall ride. And this time evoN has not found good speed like he did in the round before. So Scrapie should extend here. He will indeed. The jumps on the split here between the poles will be so decisive. Scrapie keeps the lead in the first one. Second one, evoN angling a lot, having to adapt, but he saves it. And he even increases, or diminishes the gap that Scrapie has. Still remaining about the same on the third one, though. Now into the ice turn. We know evoN goes wider to build up more speed here. Watch out. If Scrapie lands sideways, he could catch up, but he doesn't. Scrapie gets that turn beautifully. He's half a second up, and he's on the march here towards winning this round and going up to match point towards the Grand League spot.
He went actually really nicely the transition from the ice to the road when the tires thawed out. Really was timed beautifully from Scrapie, and he even extended the lead by 2/10 in a matter of a few corners. It went from 0.3 of a second to half a second, now 0.7 of a second in favor of the Belgian as we're heading onto the second part of the map right now. And Scrapie went super close a little bit earlier on to the pole on the second jump, but he managed to keep it off and keep the lead for himself. Right now we're riding on board with the Belgian driver from Lazarus, with the identity coming up right now for the final time in this round. First jump, managing to land smoothly on the other side, although evoN manages to catch up a little bit here. Second jump coming in. Oh, Scrapie touches! He allows evoN through! Due to that mistake, evoN moves through into the lead. Final jump coming in, and it will be a finalist mode for evoN, who seeks to get the scoreline to an even 2-2, 2 maps apiece. But can he conclude now?
And a very fast winning time. This is far from over. evoN here really contesting Scrapie on Arctic Split. I think he picked this with a good reason. Look at this. If evoN wins one more round here, suddenly we're going on to the final map that will decide it all. Ice turn, though. This was unfortunate for evoN. He lost a lot of ground here already. 0.21 left behind in the first ice turn that Scrapie is now gifted to him. And he was able to drive 0.7 faster in just the entire race last time. So on paper here, Scrapie is the fastest, but evoN really could be able to catch up here. Yeah, doesn't equalize that time loss in the start. The dirt line here is usually better for Scrapie, but this time evoN's holding on strong, and he's looking really good here. If he can keep this in the identity, they still have to pass those 3 jumps. First in the first lap here, and then once more. And right now, it's all coming down to that, I think. Neck and neck as we go into it. First jump up, evoN in the lead. Scrapie almost hitting. That could have been it. He stays in it though. Can he align the second one? Looks good. evoN still in the lead. What's gonna happen on the third? Looks good for both. Scrapie having to release. evoN extending here. The ice turn. We saw Scrapie have it good in the last time. Can he get it good now? The exit has to be timed properly. That looks decent enough to give him back the lead over evoN into the second lap, and this is far from over. We could go on to a 3-3 scoreline here and the final round.
This is not done yet. There's still less than a lap to go, and so far Scrapie is trying to take this to round 7 on Arctic Split, and he's got a gap to work with of around 0.3 of a second. So far, the platform part has not yielded as much of a speed advantage to evoN as it did in the first lap, although he managed to catch up to around 0.2 of a second compared to the Belgian. Now he's going really close to the pole on the inside. Still keeping himself on the chasing position, although he caught up to Scrapie to around 0.04 of a second. Look at this, they're neck and neck. They're wheel to wheel right now, heading into the wall ride as we're moving on to the identity for the end of lap 2 on this round. From the perspective of Scrapie right here, first jump, and both are landing on the other side without any hitches right now, but Scrapie touches the pole on the second jump, and evoN should be able to take this round win unless a catastrophe happens. It will not happen, and it will be onto the decider map for this head-to-head between Scrapie and evoN. 2 maps apiece, and it's all gonna come to a close on Frozen Fridges.
We're going the distance. evoN versus Scrapie. It started off as a circus. Now it's going to be a thriller here. 1 map to decide it all. 7 rounds potentially to decide who stays in Grand League and who gets relegated. This could be very important here. These couple of rounds could be so important for both players' careers. So let's see here what happens on Frozen Fridges. Let's take a look at overall pace. On paper, on Frozen Fridges, it is Scrapie with the best personal best, a 2:12.4. evoN with a 2:12.6. So both very close in terms of what they are capable of doing. Now it's the time to show up though. Now it's the time to really make the dream happen, to make those runs into the finish without crashing.
Make him count.
They really have found the pace. Here we go. Starting off very slowly here on Frozen Fridges. This is a map that's about 4 seconds faster than the flying laps. But in the start here, it's just eerily slow as the players build up speed and go through the turns now. This is a track that you're not going to see big differences on unless there's big mistakes. Scrapie going straight into the cone there. And that is the first round for evoN. It's a 1-0.
Did not foresee this happen. Neither I wager did evoN nor Scrapie. Nobody would have seen this coming from Scrapie, I think, and that will be the early advantage. 1-0, 3 to go for evoN.
Yeah, and when there's only 7 rounds on the map, you're already giving up 1. That is a big deficit. Has to try to find his composure now. Scrapie cannot let that get to him if he wants to stay in the Grand League. If he gets tilted now, it could easily soon be over, but he holds the lead here. Does not hit the cone this time, and it is a 0.2 lead, which on Frozen Fridges is quite a lot to work with. Extends it a little bit. This turn is important to keep the speed towards the dirt, and he does that quite nicely. Has to reel this line in, and it's going to cost him a little bit of time here as evoN gets closer, but does have less speed here. evoN, oh, he jumps before the engine off. That is a bit unfortunate for evoN. Will not carry the most speed here, but keeps the grip down the hill and actually makes that work for himself to stay within reach of Scrapie through the turnarounds now. Oh, evoN just tethering that checkpoint with a few centimeters to spare, going super early in the turnaround, but he makes it work. Last one coming through here, just barely want to grab that checkpoint, but if you go that low, you could easily miss it. Scrapie still in the lead at the end of the first lap here. They're not going too fast, but they're going the fastest they can go without making mistakes here. 108.6 on the first lap, and Scrapie has the lead.
Scrapie with a 3/10 lead over evoN with a 108.6 as the opening lap. I don't know how that, how does that actually reflect in terms of pace, as we're currently seeing Scrapie still holding the lead and pulling away actually at a rate of a 10th per checkpoint.
Yeah, so the pace here, I think we're on pace for like a 213 mid is what we're looking at. Scrapie still with a demanding lead. 0.4 of a second is a lot here, and it's going to require a mistake from Scrapie or maybe some magic from evoN. Can he get this round? A snipe in the end by the Polish driver. He's trying, but he went a bit past the limit there, hitting the wall, and now it's going to be all but impossible if Scrapie does not miss the turnarounds here. Don't think he will. It's going to have this under control to try to bring us to a 1-1. Well, let's not call it too soon. One turnaround and the tree jump to go. And he lined this up to get the round for himself. That looks good, and it should be like a 213 here. 213.7, but enough to win the round. And we're all tied up. So then, first to 4 here, both players with 3 wins to go. That's all you need to defend your spot. And we went into this thinking Scrapie is the favorite, but evoN finds himself right now with a very golden opportunity. He's brought it to the 5th map. He's brought it within 3 round wins. He's brought it within the realm of possibility here. And he's put himself into the lead in the 3rd round on Frozen Fridges. Going through the drifts now. Where is Scrapie? He's a little behind. So we'll see who can get the best speed over the engine off block. Is it evoN or Scrapie? It's going to be evoN who might extend his lead here. If he can keep the grip in the downhill, it's hard with that speed. He drifts a little bit, and Scrapie's getting closer. Now the turnarounds. Scrapie going fast into that one. Maybe gaining just a little bit here. evoN remains ahead. evoN going for shorter lines. Scrapie going for more speed and just barely makes it through. Really good line by Scrapie to overtake first place. Goes super high in this last one to get the speed for this freewheeling, this engine off ring. And he will have the lead into the 2nd lap. Looks to be about a 108.5 here. So we're once again on pace for a 213, 212 run. But let's see who can take it is the most important thing.
So far, Scrapie a lead of 0.3 of a second heading into the next few checkpoints right here, keeping it off the cones that we saw him hit spectacularly in round 1. So far, Scrapie continuing to pull away from evoN, although evoN is trying his best to try and reel the Belgian in, but there's not really much room for improvement in this particular track. As we said, it's really one of those tracks that really yields the closest racing in the Grand League season, although more speed at the exit of the bump road for evoN, a bit more speed into the free wheel. That's going to pay all the way down to the checkpoint, and the gap is down to 2/10 already. Now onto the turnarounds. First turnaround done. So far, Scrapie still in the lead by around 3/10 of a second. The gap widening a little bit on the downhill towards the second turnaround. Now, third turnaround coming in. evoN trying to keep it close. But can he try to go for the snipe here? Trying to go for a bit more speed. It's going to be too far back to make anything happen. And Scrapie will take the win with a 2-1 scoreline. 2:13.285 at the end of both rounds for Scrapie to take the lead in the final map.
And what a close race there. Scrapie going for that last turnaround, goes super low. I don't think that was what he's planned to do, but he makes it work. 2-1 scoreline. Scrapie 2 rounds away. evoN 3 rounds away. And the thriller continues here. Let's see what happens now in the 4th round. Starting off once again pretty slow. Not too much you can make happen here, although evoN making some small stumbles, losing a little bit of speed and ground to Scrapie. With more speed across the grass in this full speed part, it's actually going to make that to a pretty significant gap of about 0.2 of a second. Through the drift now, very important to carry speed. Look how similar the lines are there. The skid marks just going on top of each other, because that is the perfect line. evoN with very low speed here, hitting the wall before the engine off skip. This is going to be Scrapie's round to win. I think it is within the knockout range, and Scrapie could be at match point here. That is the first one. Yeah, he's gonna have it. Third checkpoint here, all free to go. Scrapie will go up to match point in the head-to-head.
3-1 as a result of that mistake. evoN going towards the inside, but maybe a bit too much, and completely clobbering the wall. And the wall is pretty much just a piece of double-sided tape that pretty much just pulls you, and there's no way of actually getting out of it without losing a lot of momentum. So there you have it. Scrapie has it all on the line. His place in Grand League is in the line, and he has 2 Joker rounds.
Yeah, 2 rounds here where evoN cannot do anything wrong. He has to try to win. If he makes one mistake here, evoN, it could be all over, and he will be demoted down to Open League, losing his Trackmania Grand League spot. So it has to be perfect from evoN from here on out. He knows what's at stake though, and he's driving his very best right now. Overtaking first place from Scrapie. Can he hit this drift? This was what cost him to lose the previous round, and now he has it under control. But Scrapie has more speed. Will Scrapie be able to snowball this? Down the hill, he keeps the grip. This is going to be a huge lead for Scrapie as evoN hits the wall to bring that into a... What's the score going to be? 1 second ahead. evoN losing ground here, and this is looking very desperate right now. Trying to do the shortest turnarounds he can, but he finds himself 1 second down on Scrapie into the next lap. It's going to be about the same, and this is very far behind for evoN. Can he do anything here at Geek, or will it be a Scrapie win?
Will it be a Scrapie win? evoN keeping himself alive, but at what cost? He was almost getting knocked out right away before the end of lap number 1. So far, Scrapie having a buffer of 9/10 to his fellow competitor evoN to try and get that round home, trying to get that win home, trying to get that Grand League spot secured for another season. Nothing is done until the checkered flag waves, and this round, Scrapie so far having an 8/10 gap. evoN reeling him slowly but surely, but unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be too little too late for the Polish driver from Team Secret. We're heading into the identity for the final time in this round, what could potentially be the final time of the Grand League season. Scrapie keeping the grip, evoN sliding a little bit on the way and keeping the grip downwards. First turnaround, and it's a gap of around 8/10 of a second at the checkpoint. Second turnaround coming up, Scrapie still having the lead of almost 8/10 to around a second of the lap. Of the gap, sorry. Meanwhile, third and final turnaround, then the final jump to go through. And Scrapie, ladies and gentlemen, should be able to have this underway. Just the final jump between the trees. And ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Heinen keeps his spot in the Trackmania Grand League Fall 2021 season. Scrapie makes it through. And unfortunately for evoN, it will be the end of a 3-season spell in TMGL. And for the first time next season, Poland will not be represented.